All right, guys, we back at it again, man. You already know what it is. This is
Always,
that You Heard
always.
podcast. I'm Ben. That's my big brother Joe. What's poppin', Joe?
Ain't nothing, man. New week, yeah. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
All right, man. We got some shit we got to talk about. Let's get into this intro.
Welcome to the You Heard podcast.
I'm hurt, dog.
Ben and Joe break down all things Miami Hurricanes football.
Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no.
From hot topics to pre- and post-game analysis.
Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
You heard.
I put my heart in this, dog.
All right, man. We are back at it again, man. We got a lot of topics to get into, man. But first and foremost, cheers, my brother. Another episode in the books, man. We about to do this thing.
No doubt.
Hey, man, listen. Let's start with something we were just watching before we came online.
Okay.
So we were talking about the recruitment process, right? We were talking and the commitments, right? We just saw Marcellus Pulliam.
Yep. Liam.
Commit to the U.
Just throw up that U.
Yeah. So you were saying we were watching it live, and you said, "Yo, I don't know if I like how they do the hat jump."
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on it, and you tell me your thoughts on it. Why does it bother you?
So the thing with him is he wasn't disrespectful with it.
Okay.
That's the part I don't really care for. You know what I mean? When you got a hat and you take it and then you throw it or you stomp on it or whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
What he did, he just picked up, like first he picked up a Georgia Tech hat. He was like, nah, he put it back down. Then he picked up another hat. Then he had a Louisville hat and he was pondering that for a minute.
Gotcha.
And then he put it down, and then he picked up the Miami hat. So that's cool with me. You know what I mean? I'm an old school cat, man. You know what I mean? So I prefer you just do your thing and move on. You know what I mean? On some Carmani type, like we said.
Yeah.
But just the disrespectful part of it. He wasn't. Mr. Pulliam wasn't disrespectful, so I'm cool with it. But when they get disrespectful, that's when I have a problem. There's no problem with having fun, though. You know what I mean? You got all your people there. He had a good time. So
yeah. Shout out to Marcellus, man, coming to the U, making that commitment off of one of our worst seasons in school history, dedicating himself to the hard work that's about to happen, man. Because we know these coaches and we know Mario don't play around. Yeah. The part that I was going to tell you was like, I get you. I feel you on the disrespect, like the stomping on it and being disrespectful. Mm-hmm. I thought, like, I'll tell you what, I thought that that linebacker that committed to Alabama, I thought that was a little shade to Tennessee. The Friday joint, right? Because it was you see the outline of Tennessee, and it's like, nah, man, Alabama. I was like, damn, dog, like you had to do it like that, like with the whole edit and everything.
Yeah.
But I always think, like, man, like think about being like you would know best, right? Like your son had to committing to a big time program, so like these kids only have that spotlight and that decision once in their life. Right, like if they ever make it to the league, they don't have an option of doing that. They get drafted. Yeah, so they're gonna play how they think they want to play it. No doubt. I loved it, and I got hyped up. You're like, yo, man, calm down. Like I just love the energy that his family gave.
Yeah,
I thought that was a cool part.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely cool, man. That's definitely cool. But I'm from the the thought of don't burn no bridges, man. You know what I mean? Let's say you pick up an Auburn hat and you throw it away or you put it in the trash or we in the transfer portal era.
Yeah.
Let's say it don't work out at Miami. You know what I mean? You still got Auburn here when you was respectful. What I had my son do is reach out to all the coaches that recruited him before he committed to Miami. Like, yo, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I think we don't know. Like your son doing that. Shout out to him, man. That's a good move. Like having those uncomfortable conversations with the coaches that he's not going to commit to. That's some shit. I like that.
Yeah. You got to.
Yeah, man. Like I just, bro. Like let's. We got. I just like the energy that these kids get to have in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I'm pretty soon we'll be seeing the transfer portal commitments, right? Like all we see now is like a tweet or a graphic. Like I'm pretty sure next is gonna be the videos coming off of that.
Transfer
You know what I mean?
portal
Like,
video commits.
yeah, son, all day. You already know. Like, you'll see like one, like an edit from like a say Mitchell Agude, right? You see him making a sack in a UCLA uniform. Next, you see him standing up in a U uniform.
Yeah.
Like that shit will go hard. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That would land really well, man. But yeah, man. Look, this was a crazy week, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? We do this when we can. We try to catch up, bro. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, because that just happened, so that's just like breaking news. Us
just
reacting
happened.
to
Marcellus, man.
He threw up that
you baby,
man.
you out here, baby.
That's
Yes.
I'm proud of him that he did the whole hand you. Like I can't stand him like when one person does it, so they don't connect it or like man, like come on, man, you gotta practice, you gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, man. This was for me, this was my most shocking news of the week. Right here, man. TVD and Jake back. We talked about it last podcast. Yeah. I had them both leaving.
You had them both bouncing, right? I think I had one. I think I had one or the other leaving.
Yeah. You had one or the other.
I think I had TVD leaving. Matter of fact.
Yeah, and you had Jake staying because how you gonna have a true freshman and then transfer portal with the whole Gaddis thing if he's still here, which we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what was your first reaction? Because this news dropped Thursday, both of them. You got word Thursday that both of them were staying.
Yeah. So my first thought was we're getting a new OC. That's the first thing I thought when I heard both of them was coming back, because like we talked about privately, man. I think TVD's camp, both TVD and Jake, both of them are smart, and the people they have in their corner are smart.
Facts.
And I don't think if they were coming back to the same situation that they would be so eager to come back. Just my opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, like what they could have done, right, was say that they're going in the transfer portal and then still come back, right? Like put the threat out there and use that power move. And they're like, nah, man, we ain't even playing no game. So they had a conversation with somebody.
Yeah,
probably Mario
obviously
or Alonzo.
The head coach, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Mario and Alonzo in the room.
Pretty much assured them that he would bring some talent in to make sure that this don't happen again, and we're gonna change some things up. So
yeah. And then
TBD and Jake.
Yeah, I guess I found this so surprising because, like, first I'll say shout out to them because they showed that they're dedicated to this rebuilders program and they Kings for life, because they could have easily left them like, yo, man, I need a better situation. I got to think about myself. Yep. So they're real team players, so I'm not gonna question them on that. You know what I mean? Where like I would like reactionary games where like the Middle Tennessee State game where TVD just didn't have it and had terrible body language. I was like, yo, does he really want to be here? Which was on the eve or a couple of days after him saying that like I like playing road games because the crowd is there. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot. It was like, yo, what's going on? Where's your energy at? So for him making that decision really shows that he's dedicated, and that he definitely had a conversation with Mario. It was like, yeah, man, look, he's gonna be leaving here soon. You know what I mean? He's gonna be bouncing possibly to another program. You know what I mean? Like we can't have like for them both to come back. The thing that's so surprising that they both came back is because then Jake is it going to be like an open competition, or does TVD have the spot? You know what I'm saying? Like for Jake to be like, all right, I'll come back and be second string again, the number 2 guy. Does that mean he's going to have the number 1 spot next year? You know what I mean? Like what's
I think that has to be it. I think Jake is not in a rush. You know what I mean? Obviously, man. The word is that he loves Miami, no doubt. Whether it be the Miami life, you know what I mean? Or, you know, whether it be, I'm sure he loves it all. And again, you never know what type of opportunity you're going to get, right? You know what I mean? He was thrusted into action several times. So you never know. You know, he'll definitely get a shot, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. And I want to talk about something. I was watching Manny Navarro on with Big O, right? And they were talking about this season and what it was. And Big O said this is the worst season that he's ever seen, right? Of the Hurricanes. And I can't disagree with him. And we've talked about it before. And it actually is funny because like they said, I don't know if they listened to our show, but they said the same thing that we said, is like there was a huge disconnect between, and it's not like breaking news. I think we've all had that opinion, right? Like,
no doubt.
they had this huge disconnect from the coaches to the players, and Manny said almost exactly what I said. It was like, yo, when you walk into the room as a grown man, as a coach, and be like, and tell your players, yo, you suck, you costing me my job. You know what I mean? Like, and they only hear that, and they never answer to that. It's a problem in teaching, and it's a problem in the culture in the locker room, right? Because nobody goes, hey man, y'all need to shut the fuck up. We gonna work. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like no player stood up till the end of the year, which happened to be a sophomore in Cam Kitchens.
Right.
Like there was no upperclassmen that were like, yo man, no, we're embarrassed right now. That part never happened, and I think the coaching telling them that they suck, right? If that's what they told them per Manny Navarro, if that's what they told them, that's terrible teaching. Like you never built these kids back up. You just shit on them the whole season.
Yeah. And I don't know if we definitely don't know what the case is in the locker room. We don't know what's going on in the building, but the sense that I've gotten, or I had throughout the course of the year, is that I don't want to say that the coaches like gave up, but that this year was kind of a wash. You know what I mean? And they was gonna start fresh next year. And that's what I felt watching the team, watching some of the decisions that were made in game, personnel decisions.
Yeah.
I just felt like they were like, once they saw after Middle Tennessee, I just felt like it was just let's get out of here. We'll start fresh next season. You know what I mean?
So when I was listening to that, I like when I have like an idea or like something I want to say, or like when somebody's saying, I was like, I want to remember to say this. Like, and they're talking on the show is like they're saying like, oh, this season was a wash, and Manny goes up. Well, what if they would have been like a bad 8-4, like that year, the year Manny Diaz went like 9-3. Right, but that wasn't like a strong 9-3. I mean, that was like a 1 point
last minute wins and all that.
Yeah, like it wasn't like we were showing out. It was just the ball bounced the right way. Kind of similar to that 10-0 year, right? Like that 10-0 year. Then we lost the last 3. There was ugly games against Georgia Tech in there. You know what I mean? Except for those the 2 times that Miami looked like the Miami we knew was Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, right? Yeah. But they're talking about it, and I think what we need to remember too is, and we talked about it before, like after that hard-fought A&M game, right, and they lost, and the team never responded, right? They were never like, oh, look, we can show a better effort. After like, that, at some point, like I go back and forth with this shit, right? Like it's like Pong, like I'm bouncing back and forth. Like the team never had a leader to like galvanize them and lead them when they were like depending on the coaches to do them. And that just shows like we're acting like this team never loses back-to-back games. It's kind of who they've been for the last, 20 years. So maybe the coaches needed to see how they responded to adversity. It was like, oh, they're not even going to try. Like like we talked about, if you can't get a yard against Middle Tennessee State, that's not Gaddis, that's not Mario, that's not anybody else but them players. So that has to go into it too. So it has to be a burn it down situation at that point. Yeah. So it's wild, man. I really do go back and forth because like as they're making the argument for the other, I can have the counter to be like, it's almost like the chicken or the egg. You know what I mean? Like, which one is it?
We know it's both. It's definitely not all. And the important thing is that Coach Cristobal knows it's both. You know what I mean? Because I was, I posted some comments he had about changing the coaching approach because what works elsewhere may not work here. You know what I mean? That's very important. Like, man, in anything, everybody is different. Everybody learns different. Everybody blossoms at different times. Everybody runs different. Everybody catches. Everybody's different, man. You have to be able to appeal and reach everybody. You have to. That's what makes you great. That's what makes a great coach. That's what makes a great teacher. That's what makes a great supervisor. That's what makes a great spouse. You got to be able to reach the other people, in the building. You gotta be able to do that. So that's my point when I speak about the adults in the building. It's not blaming the coaches fully. It's that regardless of who you have, man, you're not gonna have all elite talent. You're not Bama right now. You're not gonna have all elite talent.
You're not Georgia.
Georgia, right? You're not Ohio State. You're not gonna have 100% elites. So are you telling me we're not gonna be able to win unless we have all elite talent? That's not cool. Like what?
No.
Like you have a $8 million coach whose calling card really is being able to reach people. That's his thing, because he's not an offensive coordinator. He's not a defensive coordinator. He's an O-line coach. So his job and his calling card is that my O-line is going to be the truth, and I'm going to be able to get these kids to buy in. That's his thing. And I'm going to recruit my ass off. You know what I mean? So, and we all knew, and we all said in the beginning, he's going to go as far as his coordinators.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you got good coordinators, elite coordinators, it's going to be great. But if you miss, then we're going to have problems. And I think
we missed.
Yeah.
Like, we can say however we wanted, but we missed. He missed. We didn't miss. I didn't hire him. I didn't even know they were on the table when he hired him. Like I'm acting like I was like, yo, I was in the room. Like, Mario, I don't know if Kevin Steve's the guy, man. I don't know if that's a good call.
Both sides, like we know that they weren't first choices. Like they could say they could front like they were. No, they weren't first choices. Stop front.
Yeah.
I think Gaddis was third, fourth
at best.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple guys out there that I hope come on down here and let's see what happens. I mean, we'll see what happens. Now with all that, man, and talking about reaching out to these kids, like how is it? Like, look, off-season champs is not a real thing. Like people put that on us because all the shit talking. Yeah, we get hyped, man. We fans. It's what we do. We overreact to every single player we get. It's what we do. Like I was getting hyped for Marcellus or Mr. Pullum earlier or Pulliam. I'm gonna figure out how to have that, and then one day we're gonna have him on the show. And now I'm gonna ask him how to pronounce his last name, so I'll make sure I get it right.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, man. Look, it's. I guess this off season, I've been a little bit more hyped about it, not because of the players that we're getting, just like the message. For us as fans, we're so in the weeds of this shit that we think nobody's gonna commit to us, man. We just went 5-7. We're not gonna pull nobody. And to think that we're in the conversation for these big boys, you know what I mean? We got a Brandon Ennis and a Mark Fletcher now pushing their recruitment back to February. They're not going to commit it. Late signing day, which is crazy because Ennis was all Ohio State. So was, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a fact because we know Brian Hartline's going to get that Cincinnati job on Monday. Like that's just what it is. Or probably after the playoff if they get put in there tomorrow, which they probably will.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, I don't. And Joe, look, you've been following this team longer. You follow in the. I'm getting better, like into the weeds and learning deeper about this team and how things work and all the idiosyncrasies of it. But man, have you seen a recruiter at this level? Like I don't even know like what message he's telling these kids to bring them here. Like after seeing what we saw on the field, right?
Yeah,
and everything, like, yo, man, you hired a bad offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? The things didn't click. How's he going into these living rooms and what is he telling these kids when the product we saw on the field as fans is iffy and you know what I'm saying? Like iffy at best. And he's flipping kids from the number 2 program in the country. Like, what?
Yeah. I think what always is gonna hold true. What always is going to get people to rock with you is the relationships. You know what I mean? He's built relationships that stand the test of time. And he keeps it a buck all the time. Like what I hear from these young men is that, and the families, is that there's no coach speak. You know when a coach is trying that coach speak. You You know what I mean? Like
that Bill Belichick shit.
That. Come on, man, keep it a buck with me. Let me know. And Coach Cristobal keeps it a buck. It's the authenticity and the relationships. That's all. That's what it is, man. Cats like Brandon Ennis is like, yo, I hear from Coach Cristobal every single day. He don't stop.
Nope.
He don't stop. You know what I mean? I was hearing stories of, cats hearing from this dude at 11:30 at night. You know what I mean? Or 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning. With the Collins situation, I read the story about them. Collins's mother's sick or whatever, and they, they're there. And that's going to win out most of the time.
Yeah. Yo, prayers up to Collins' moms, you know what I'm saying, and his family,
his
hopefully.
Family, everything. Man.
Yeah, prayers up for that, man. Hope everything's well and she's strong and she's fighting. I heard that like Manny Navarro already said it, that I was the same shit, like that Collins hasn't seen his mom, hasn't seen his family in like 4 years because they're in Ghana and he came over here to play ball and just find a better life like that. Listen, man, like I have a strong belief in that immigrant mentality. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna outwork everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And for him, to be able to flip a 4-star defensive end, 6'8", 260 pounds now, probably because Monday he was 250. He's 18 years old. He's probably 260 by now. I mean, like that's easy. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, yo, how the fuck is he doing this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to like get guys that are uncommitted and you're on the graphic, right? Like you're on the table and you put the hat on. But you're committed to the number 2 program in the country, and you're coming. And there's chances that your best friend Ina Etta is coming. Yeah, because Mario, like the depth that he recruits at and the vision that he has is what gives me like patience. You know what I mean? Like, but I also like can't believe it. There's that part of it where like, how you even in the room when we weren't even in the building before? You know what I'm saying? Like. They wouldn't even let us in that practice because we offended a coach. You know what I mean? Like previous regimes offended a coach because some shit he said. You know what I mean? That got back to the coach. Like now we're like, hey man, I'm like this guy's mended those relationships in 11 months. Yeah. Yep. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I've always said I'm not worried about recruiting at all. No. Like that's the one thing I was never worried about with him. And I figured it was going to be even at a more ridiculous level because he's actually here now. He's not trying to get kids to go all the way across the country to Oregon. You know what I mean? Regardless of the Oregon facilities and their uniforms, he's trying to get a Florida kid or a Georgia kid to go all the way to Oregon. And he did get some, but now you're in the hotbed. You know what I mean? Imagine... All right, we was 5-7. Yep. Imagine we was 7-5, son. Even 7-5. Yep. Going to a bowl and looking competent on offense.
Just improving. Just
looking competent. It would have been more crazy. It's already crazy right now. Yep. But when it actually results. When the results are wins, it's gonna be yikes.
What he's got to be telling these kids, like he keeps it a buck, right? He's got to be telling kids like, yo, man, you coming in here, you coming in to work. I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm here to put you in the league. You come here with the right mentality, or you'll like he's got to keep it up, or you'll be gone. Like it's just like. This is a business. I'm here to teach you how to be a great player. Like the kids that are committing now, right? Like our class hasn't shaken, right? There's like whispers, and I hear different little shit about Malik Bryant. Malik Bryant don't talk. He just gonna show up on, you know what I mean, that's early and just walk. I'm like, yo, man, I'm here. Like you're not gonna hear nothing from him. I'm not worried about that. But the kids that are committing now, and you're flipping to it, and you're committing to him. Like you can't have any questions, man. Like you now, if you criticize, you just find an old shit to talk about. 5-7 is over, right? That's it. 2022 season is a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah, we don't have to work. That's it. We're 2023, 2024 building now. Like this is different. And I think it's gonna take a lot of like how am I gonna say this without like the big time like analysis and the people who are like, oh, this isn't the way you know what I mean? Like this isn't the way I'd like it to be or some shit. I mean, like, why weren't we better against Middle Tennessee State? Man, look, we got our ass whooped against Middle Tennessee State. That's over. You know what I mean? Like that's gone. Like that's dead. Like it's the worst season ever. So who gives a fuck? It doesn't. It clearly is not affecting us in recruiting. So
yeah, that's
Mario
me. That was me. That's me. I'm that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm also that guy that lives today. Like I'm when I speak, I'm always talking about the present time.
Yeah.
Right now, the season's over. I'm done. Like the season's over. We on to 2023, like you just said. So that's what I'm focused on. Now I'm not gonna get gassed like usual. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Son, I'm gonna keep it about. I wasn't gassed coming into the season. Like I was like because I've seen failure too much. You know what I'm saying? Like we get hope. Hope is a motherfucker, right? Like hope will get you. I'm like, oh shit, like, we got all these players. We were 7-5. If it's just a couple more play, you know what I mean? A couple more plays away. I don't think any of us, and I could talk about this as a blanket statement in the fan base, ever factored in the mentality of either the coaches or the kids. Right? We just thought purely resume. We only thought on paper. Completely forgot about the intangibles, leadership, all that shit. Right? Like we could talk shit about Zero not wrapping up and not attacking, yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? All that. We could talk about Blades not getting you know what I'm saying, being injured for 3 years of his career and never. We could do that whole we could do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But we never thought of, I don't remember a tweet or anything like, who's the leader of this team? You know what I'm saying? Like, who sets the tone for how practices are going to go? If it's always the coaches, then you don't have any leaders.
Sure.
If it's always the players, then you have shit coaches, right? Like they have to mesh together. So going into the season, I was like, I'll see. Like I'm not expecting much because I know we had the talent on paper, but that same talent on paper was here last year that barely won 7 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't like it was this huge hit where like, oh man, we're gonna hit on everything. Like I was happy with TVD, but I was like, I'm gonna see how he do. It's like new offensive coordinator, because I've been that dude who's like, we're going fucking undefeated every year. I did that for years at a time, and it was like, you know what, man, I can't do it. Where like now I watch it with love and passion, but I'm not gonna live in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna live in. I need you to prove it to me now. Like that's all I'm about. Yeah, I've gone. Like I don't give a shit who any of these recruits are. Come on now, I need to see something on the field. Like I need to see something, and it's not. And I know you're a freshman coming in and all that. I get it, but it's almost like I've been hurt too much. You know what I mean? Like we
scorned in a scorned relationship, son.
Yeah, man. Like it's not, man. You're not gonna keep lying to me and gaslighting me up, bro. Like it's not gassing me up anymore. I'm not doing it again, man. I can't. So the recruiting is crazy. He goes into these houses and these homes and has these young men and families trust him, and he's not lying to any of these kids. Like, look, man, it's gonna be hard. This season's gonna be hard. You're gonna be young. We're gonna play a lot of young players. Like, there's a bunch of young players that are gonna play next year that were redshirted this year. Trevante Citizens of the world.
Can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see that kid, man.
Marquise, you mentioned him on the last podcast. Marquise Williams, you know what I mean? Kamari Rogers, all those young boys. I know Isaiah Dunson left today. Yeah. Salute to him, man. Wish you the best.
Yeah.
Kids are gonna be leaving. The kids that are staying, I'm behind them 100,000%, because those dudes want to rock. Yeah. Like they are ready now. This is what I wanted to ask you. We talked about it a little before. Who are the guys? What's your dream scenario for these last couple weeks of recruits as far as players?
Samson is number 1.
Facts.
That's my main. Samson and Francis and Connor Lou, man, and that Frankie and man, Tripp.
Yeah.
Antonio, Tripp, you know what I mean? I think the O-line haul is incredible. But Samson rounds it out. He's my number one priority. Brandon Ennis, man, I
know.
We've let that receiver talent leave the state too many times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ennis is he's that guy, you know. Ruben Bain, you know, I think it's a if he gets away, I think that's a bad message, you know, that he leaves. Damari Brown, the corner. I think him and Carmani. Oof, man.
I'm hearing some stuff about Jakeem Jackson too, though.
I'm hearing Jakeem Jackson too, man. You know, it can be crazy. You know what I mean? It can be crazy. Yeah, for me, it's really Samson, Bain, Damari, Ennis.
Yeah.
For me,
you don't put Fletcher on there?
Clark, man, but
Stanquan Clark. You don't. What about Fletcher? You ain't putting Fletcher on there? You just don't feel it, huh? You think he's Florida?
I mean, as far as one, I would, of course, I would want him because he's a talent and he's a local talent. But at running back, I'm not really too concerned. I think we'll have a deep running back room, and for me, running back is the one position where you could come in and get busy early. You know, so I think we're all right in that room.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think Citizen, just Citizen Kane. You know what I mean? Like, I think Citizen is.
Man, I can't wait to see him, boy.
And if Chaney can just stay healthy, man. Oh, he's got that speed that Thad didn't have, the size. Just Don Chaney, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish all your genes and all your tendons heal up this off season, bro, and you come back killing it, man, because we need you. And you a dog, man. You a dog. I see it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that whole lineup, man. There's that part. I'm a person who never thinks we have enough talent, so I'll obviously take Mark Fletcher. So him and Brandon Ennis pushing it back is not a good sign, obviously, for Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they're because they were locked in back in like July or some shit with Ohio State. So if they're pushing it back, definitely means that the recruitment is open. I mean, the bank is open on the weekends with them. So
if Hartline leaves and Brandon Ennis doesn't come, he wasn't coming. You know,
he was never coming.
He was never coming, man. If that happens, and especially if, you know, we happen to change coordinators, and we bring in somebody, you know, like a Riley or, you know, somebody like that, and he don't come, you know, he wasn't coming.
He was never coming. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. That's that brand. I've had zero sources, zero count. You know what I mean? Like, to be like, man, just there's something about Brandon Ennis that makes you think he's that guy. Like him, I think him, Ruben Bain, and Francis, and I throw Samson in there, but just those three, with like Samson being like on that just a step below, and not as far as talent, but I think mentality and changing the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, is what the team needs. Like, they're no nonsense. Like, they're all business. Like, yo, we came here to work, man. Fuck all this other shit. Like, no. You like what Cam Kitchen says. Like, yo, man, if you don't want to be here, leave. Yeah. Frankie Tennerlow, yo, we'll call the Uber for you. Yeah. Like, you got incoming freshmen calling out the squad. Like, if I'm a player on that team and you leaving after that, like, to me, it, you know what I mean? Like, a hit dog will holler, just like my old NCO will say. Yeah, you're getting called out on social media and you leaving. That's what it is, man. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, man. Last topic of the day. Let's get into these hot button issues, man. You are a person. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast with you. You ask the questions that gets the people riled up, man. what were your questions this week that had people going crazy, bro?
What did we talk about, man? I think I asked about the transfer portal. Like when we just discussed it, right? If we're discussing a kid leaving Miami for whatever reason, we don't know the reason. We don't know if they got asked
business
to leave.
decisions.
We don't know if they got asked to leave. We don't know if they just don't want to work. We don't know if they're not meshing or gelling with the coaching staff or the people in the locker room, their teammates.
Facts.
So when you have kids trying to come in, not transferring out, but transferring in, how do we know what issues they're dealing with? How do we know what type of dog these guys are? You know what I mean?
Say, what's the research like on these kids?
Yeah, you know what I mean? I understand it's just like recruiting a high school kid. When you recruit a high school kid, you talk to their high school coach. You go meet them. You may talk to the janitor. You may talk to one of their teachers or whatever. Most of the time, I'm an observant type of person. Facts. Those people are gonna say good things. You know what I mean? They've grown up. Most of the time, they've grown up. You're talking to their AAU coaches or 7-on-7 coaches. They've grown up with these kids.
Yep.
So they not gonna shit on them for the most part.
Right.
And one of my big things is that 16-year-old Joe is not the same as 20-year-old Joe who's about to transfer. You know what I mean? That's a 4-year difference. So at 16, I could have been humble, shy Joe. I went to college at Tennessee, got gassed, start smoking weed, whatever, and now I'm ready to transfer. So I could be a different cat. So it's just different. The fans will shit on cats that's transferring out, but then embrace everybody transferring in. So they transferred out from somewhere too. I'm confused.
I think, and you're right. And that's a good way of phrasing it, because like I hadn't thought of it that way, right? Like I just made that comment, like, look, man, like you getting called out on social media. I mean, there's a reason why you're leaving. Don't know why. We don't, and that's facts. Look, I appreciate that shit, because I like that way of thinking, man. I like opening my mind up with shit like that. We don't know, right? And you got to think about it. Like, let's think about our squad, right? The U. We've had 3 different offensive coordinators in 4 years, 3 different defensive coordinators in 3 years, right? Because Blake was here for 2, and then Manning
and Steele.
So 2, Manning and Steele. So 3 in 3 years. So the transfer portal is so new. I don't even really understand how it works. Like, I understand, like, you go in the transfer portal the 5th and that whole thing. That's when you get announced by, but it's open for however long. And you got to think. So how do you even do the research on the kids leaving out of here, right? Like, who are you going to call? You're going to call Kevin Steele to find out about Isaiah Dunson, or are you going to call? You know what I mean? Are you going to call Manny? Or are you going to call Manny? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, Manny's busy on his own campus with Penn State, trying to figure that whole thing out. Like, man, like it's
called DVD. You know what I mean?
You gotta call DVD. Are you gonna have to call Blake? Like, for the receivers that are leaving, you know what I mean? Keyshawn Smith. Who are you gonna call? Are you gonna call Gaddis that might be out the door, or are you gonna have to call Red Lashley? You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is not a Miami specific program issue. Like, we talk about assistant coaches leave all the time. Like, they always go greener pastures, more money, and experience. That's just because they all want to be head coaches one day. Like, that's the dream for every single one of them.
Hell yeah.
So the research on it must be crazy, and it has to be a crapshoot, right? Like, it has to, like, you have to believe that unless you have those previous relationships, which this is where I give Mario that Mario talks to every player. Like, I don't think there's a player in the SEC, Pac-12, couple teams in the Big 12, Big 10 that haven't talked to Mario at least once if they were about that life. Like, if he sought them out, so he already has that built-in relationship. Not even talking about his previous program at Oregon, right? Like, there's that big-time wide receiver that's there that me and you chopped it up about. Like, oof, just that size. Him on the other side of Kobe Young, and you put X in in the slot. But again, like, why is he leaving Oregon? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes back to those same questions. And we have anybody who says they know, they're lying. Like, unless their family, you know what I mean? Like, all of us just speculate. That's all the fuck we do. Like, hey, you ever listen to this podcast? We're just giving you our opinions. We might know some shit. But that shit that we really know, we're never putting it on here because that's none of y'all business. Like, that's none of y'all business for real. Like, we're just here to tell you how we feel about shit. But man, bro, that question you asked, you said like, hey man, you don't know why they're leaving, and you really don't. Well, you got starting quarterbacks for Notre Dame leaving. You got starting quarterbacks for Virginia leaving.
Facts.
It's not like people just leave now to leave. Like, yo, man, I'm gonna go get this bag. I'm gonna go get a better situation.
Yeah.
So it's no longer how I even thought about it 5 minutes ago, where it was like, oh, they got a problem with the coaches. They might not just they might just want to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might just be that simple. Like, yo, my girl's going to Virginia now, so you know what I mean? I'm gonna go to Virginia if I could get that scholarship.
Yep.
So totally different world. God damn, good question, Joe.
Yeah, and we really have no idea. Like
None.
a fifth year senior, you know, you can kind of understand, or graduate. I'm sorry, a graduating senior. He graduated already. He plays at Buffalo, so he wants to come to Miami to get more exposure. No,
shout out to KJ Osborne.
Facts. You know what I mean? Yep. But you look at the quarterback from Virginia, or you know, and I'm pretty sure that most of these guys, if they're smart, they already have a scenario in their head, or they've already been talking to some other programs,
right,
to see where they fit at. You know, that would be smart. You know, and you know, from what I'm hearing about Coach Cristobal, he wants to make sure everybody who transfers out has somewhere to go,
somewhere to land.
Home, you know. Yeah. So he's gonna do his best to make sure that they land somewhere good. And I hope that most players have built that type of relationship or are good guys to where their coach will want to help them to land somewhere else. You know what I mean? So because there's like 4,000 kids in the portals, huh?
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
It's like the last was it Avengers? You know what I mean? When they're all standing there and then you see all those portals
back, right?
Yeah, all them cats come back and you see Chadwick Boseman walk through that.
Yeah,
bro, like everybody's going through this portal, man. People, and the thing that people got to remember is like they could sit down with the coaches and be like, look, I'm thinking about leaving, right? I want to go, but they talk to the coaches, and if the situations aren't right, they could come back, but they have to have those conversations with the coaches. Just because they're going in the transfer portal doesn't mean they're leaving. Like the kid remember that big ass offensive lineman from Georgia that took the last off season, went down to Florida, and he was supposed to come down to us, but then he just did it to get a better NIL deal with UGA. You know what I mean? Like that's the business now. Like it's not like he didn't want to leave Georgia, right? Like he was like, yo, I'm thinking about it maybe. Then he went down to Florida and then drove right back up to Athens. Like it's you know what I mean? Like it's a different life now, man. So this kid's leaving, and shout out to Mario for that, man, for like having a landing spot and talking to other coaches and putting them in places instead of just being like, yo, man, there's a door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, like Mario could be that guy. Cold as fuck with the. You know what I mean?
That's the reason he's considered a stand-up cat. You know what I mean? Because and I heard he does that for his staff as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not just going to outright fire somebody. You know what I mean? He'll make sure they have a landing spot. You know what I mean? He'll do his best to shop them or put them in another position. And that's dope. That's just about being a good human. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if I'm a parent, I would want to send my kid to somebody who's a good human being, you know what I mean? But that's him, you know. That don't mean the staff, because if we all know that, or we should know that players spend most of the time with their position coaches, man. You know what I mean? They ain't spending too much time with their head coach.
No,
you know, even though he has his hands on everything, but they're spending time with their position coach, man, the strength and conditioning coach. You know, so those guys have to be stand-up dudes, just like the head coach. Everybody has to take the mentality of the head man in the building. You know?
And I think that's what Mario's issue was this year. Like he brought in, like we talked about, it brought in too many mercenaries, and it's hard to mesh that mentality with a bunch of guys that were somewhere else on Tuesday and are here on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, and are here on Wednesday. In the grand scheme of it, hasn't even been a year that the stat's been put together. It takes time, and the people he needs to set the tone, set the mentality, set the expectations with staff that might not be here, that he doesn't really have familiarity with. So it was a lot. He was behind the 8 ball all the way to begin with. Now, you said something earlier about the transfer portal, right? And that some players have the situation already locked up. You saw Cade McNamara, the backup quarterback for the number 2 Michigan Wolverines. I think are playing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're playing on right now.
They're about to play 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, they're playing right now. Yeah.
They're playing right now. So, you know what I mean, number 2 team in the country, and Cade McNamara is out, and he's going to Iowa. That's the other hot topic. That's what started all the Gaddis rumors that he's about to leave, because he coached Cade McNamara at Michigan, and he's going to Iowa. Iowa needs all the help in the world. Iowa got a sick defense, but zero offense. Like didn't they have a game this year that they lost like 3 that they won like 3-2 or some like
some
6 like that, like no offensive touchdowns, no offensive score, but it was like 3. It was like 4-6-3, and it was like 3 safeties or some outrageous shit like that.
And you see the receivers, they're leaving. You know what I mean? They leaving now. And it's ill because a guy I went to college with, he's younger than me, but he coaches receivers at Iowa, man. So he played quarterback at my college.
That's crazy.
And he coaches receivers now. So
that's crazy, man. Yeah. So what you thinking? I know we talked about it, but when is that something? I know that was crazy on Twitter because I saw Locked On Kings talked about it, and other people are speculating on it. And you thinking that's why you're not seeing Gaddis in any of recruiting pictures? Like I haven't seen a single.
Well, they said he's on the road.
They said that.
I think he was. No, I think he was there with Coach Mario at Ray crib.
That's not the road though, is it? That's they
home,
took a drive.
Right? That ain't
that's
the
home.
road,
like,
bro. Yeah.
Like if you ain't hop on the PJ, you ain't on the road.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's overstated anyway. You know what I mean? I don't think that means anything because we've had coaches that been recruiting and it's out of here. You know what I mean? So,
last year.
Yeah. Oh, UNC just scored on Clemson, quite easily.
Clemson,
So I don't think whatever. If he's recruiting, he's recruiting. You know what I mean? But if he's gone, I don't think the recruiting part of it really makes a difference.
Because let's think about this, right? Let's. I'm trying to think about this as we record and as we talk about it. I can't think of one offensive player that's mentioned Gaddis, right? Like as their main recruiter,
offensive recruit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you think of one? Ray ain't talk about. You know what I mean? Like
I haven't really seen too many interviews or them talking, but no, I haven't. I haven't heard his name really at all. I haven't
seen a mention on Twitter. Yeah, like when Cormani gave his thing, he shout out TVD, shout out DVD, gave him a shout out on Twitter. Like I haven't seen an ad at all on that. I think that's maybe what we don't know if there's possibly beef between, not beef, but like miscommunication between Mario and his offensive coordinator, right? Like if Gaddis ain't really about that recruiting life, I think we talked about it, right? Like if you ain't really about that recruiting life, Mario ain't gonna be with you too long. Like you gonna find another way. Yeah, and it ain't gonna be with Mario.
Yeah, I think to me, just the main sign is TVD coming back.
Yeah.
That's the main. That to me, that's a flag to me. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking for things for signs, I think that's a huge sign.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man.
I'm sure we'll find out when we're supposed to find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably sometime later next week, a little bit before. You know what I mean? Because if we're looking at it for us, Mario, here's the other thing: Mario doesn't give a single of a fuck when we think he should do shit.
Yeah, and
Mario,
obviously he don't care about because last signing day he wasn't in a rush to hire nobody before signing day. Everybody like, yo, we need coordinators in place for signing day. Apparently not.
Apparently not. I think he pulled was our class last year before he took over like 58th or 48th or something, and brought it all the way up to like 10, right, or 12 or 10, depending on the ranking. So Mario don't need nobody. Mario recruiting all these boys by himself almost, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll end up top 5. But according to everybody, that shit don't matter. All them numbers don't matter, son. Top whatever don't matter.
It seems like top 5 don't matter as much. Top 5 consistently. Top 4 consistently is what matters, because you're not going to hit on every 5-star, 4-star. You never know who's going to be the next Ed Reed that you just pick up on the last, Ray Lewis. You never know when those players are going to happen. But you have to stack up that talent consistently.
You got to stack it, and you have to develop it.
Yeah. There's 3 levels of 5 stars at Alabama right now. Yeah. At most positions. So that's that. So if you miss on one 5-star the mentality wasn't right, or tries to fight his teammates during a national championship game like that tight end did,
sure,
you know what I mean? Like, you got to get that mentality right. You got to stack it up. So if you miss, there's not that many chances. Like, oh, that next 5-star about to hit. Yeah, that next 5-star is going to be Will Anderson. Yeah. That next 5-star is going to be everybody who's ever Derrick Henry behind. You know what I mean? Behind this guy, behind that guy. So you just got to keep stacking that talent up. Yeah. I think that's one thing we forget, man. That's one thing I forget. It's not about having the number 1 recruiting class this year like Texas A&M did, right? It's not about having that number 1, number 2, number 3 recruiting class 22, 23, 24, 25. You have to stay that consistent to be great, because you could be a Virginia Tech back in the day that every 4 years they were great because you had all those seniors. Nah, man, I'm trying to be top 10, top 5 every year.
Yeah, because even us, you know what I mean? We've had consistently at least top 2 in the ACC. Yeah. Consistent. But we haven't developed those
None
guys.
of it.
You know what
not
I
a
mean?
single, not
we
a
haven't
one.
gotten the best out of those guys. You know what I mean? So, we got to do that. There's no doubt we're going to have talent in the building. We know that. But
let's see that team next year. That team's physically just going to look different.
Oh yeah.
It's going to look different.
Yeah.
It's going to look different.
Yeah.
Hey man, I got nothing else. You got anything else, Joe?
Let's get some shout outs real quick. Yo, for people who rock with energy drinks, man.
Oh, I never tried that one.
I need y'all to. This is a plant-based energy drink, man. It has 0 added sugar. It has no sucralose or aspartame. None of that BS in here, man. It doesn't taste the best. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay, give it a buck.
It's good. It don't leave you. It's no jitters and nothing like that.
No crash, no nothing.
Nah, none of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right,
it's a dope energy drink, man. Riot Energy, man. I get them at. Dang, I don't have probably Publix. Publix may have it.
Okay. Y'all got Wawa up there?
Nah, we don't got Wawa.
Oh, son. Why was that shit, boy?
I know about Wawa, but Wawa. I rock with Publix, man. We got a spot called Harris Teeter out here, man, and that's where I get those from.
Okay.
And I want to shout out my son's team, Hutchinson. They just won their playoff game, so they're going to the championship.
That's what's up, man.
14th in Little Rock, Arkansas, man. They playing. I don't know who they're playing yet. So
you gonna go out there?
I probably will. Yeah, I probably will.
That's what's up, man. Shout out to your son, man. Making it to the championship, man. That's big time, man. Any title's a title, man.
Man, he been searching for a ring for the long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In high school, man, these guys got knocked out the first round of the playoffs, like his junior and senior year, man. And they was the heavy favorites. You know what I mean? But yeah, he trying to get this ring, man. So hopefully Hutchinson can get it.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. Shout out to your son, man. Yeah, man. I want to give a shout out to Mike, Radio Mike, man. We chopped it up on
Mike
the DM.
McCoy. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have him on the show next week. You know what I mean? Got Jordan coming on the show next week. Shout out to them, man. We just gonna keep building, man. We just gonna keep growing this podcast, man. Yeah. I really enjoy doing it, man. You always bring the energy, Joe. We talk about it, we chop it up. And you always, every podcast consistently, right? This is that top 5, top 3 recruiting questions. You always bring me a question that I had. You always give me a perspective I hadn't thought of, man. Okay. And that's why I love having these conversations with you, bro.
No doubt. Same with you, man. Same thing. I love it, man. I love it. And please don't forget to like, subscribe. You know, please subscribe. You know, get them subs.
Hit them comments, man. Hit them comments. Let us know what you think, man. Yes, we're here, man. This isn't a family show because this ain't that we cuss a lot on the show. I do especially. So you know what I mean? Like this ain't a family show, but we a family here, man. This is a UN podcast, man. This is what we do. We got love for the squad, and I might always get hyped when somebody puts that hat on from the table, man. But we're gonna see how they build it, man. We got nothing else, man. Remember, it's all about that you.
All day.